7 to 8.
Yeah, that's what I had written to Marisol Prabhu also. Between you both
Mhm.
can speak 1 hour. Yeah.
Okay. Let me shift to the next room because I think I could. Well, how is our quality here? Is it all right?
Quality is all right.
Okay, so I'll stay where I am. It's warm. Om Gana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kodamahyam Dadhati Shapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Dalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vansha Koptarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Pyevacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I have a cousin whose powers of memory are formidable. He remembers details of things, times we were together, and who was there, and what happened, and what was said, and what it was like, and for things that I don't even remember being present for. So my memory is fuzzy. Now, Prabhupada's been gone for what, 50 years, and the so my memories of Prabhupada are yes, some stories that I remember, some incidents that I remember, and most especially his instructions. I'm grateful to devotees like Hari Sari Prabhu who have conveyed the vividness Srila Prabhupada's activities, his personal dealings, his so many incidents, so many, as we say, pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. Hari Sari has done that. Satsrup Maharaj has done that. Other devotees have done that, and it gives us a wonderful view into Srila Prabhupada's personal dealings, his personal activities, the wonderful way that he did things, how he dealt with different situations, different people, different challenges, different triumphs. But my memories tend to be more, or yes, around his instructions, or my life tends to be less about memories of particular dealings and more about instructions that he gave. The finally it comes because in one sense, well, both things will be there. It's again, devotees like Hari Prabhu have, in one sense, immortalized Srila Prabhupada's dealings because they're committed to paper, because we can read them, so they'll be preserved. Yes, they'll be preserved. The Shrutikirti also preserving these wonderful activities. But finally, what holds them together.
No, it's Davy and us, you stupid. Sorry.
Finally, what holds them together is Srila Prabhupada's instructions. And that was my main connection with Srila Prabhupada. These days, devotees say, "Oh, you had so much association with Srila Prabhupada." And when I look at it, a little bit here, a little bit there, and yes, it added up to something, not to the kind of prolonged and intense association that some devotees had, or to the sort of, you look at devotees like Giriraj Maharaj, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Satsvarup Maharaj, how intimately, Brahmananda Prabhu, how intimately they were entrusted by Srila Prabhupada with various services and guided by Srila Prabhupada. Giriraj Maharaj in Bombay, Tamal Krishna Maharaj in so many different places, and others who were very much personally guided by Srila Prabhupada in the details of their service. And such good fortune is there for them. I was really a rank and filer. I was one of so many devotees. I had some particular service. I tended not to ask Srila Prabhupada lots of questions because at that time already, with so many disciples, he had too much. He heard from too many people with too many questions. And he preferred that we get on with our service and not pester him, as it were, this question and that question, apart from which the kinds of questions I might have had were hard to ask because he was moving too fast. If I had a question about this translation or that purport, for the most part, Prabhupada would be in some other part of the world. He'd be in India, I'd be in New York, or he'd be in Australia and I'd be in New York, or he'd be in Europe and I'd be in New York, or in Boston, or in Los Angeles. And in those days, communication was by mail. Your aerogram might take a week to reach India. And if you were lucky, it would be, Prabhupada would be at the place you'd written to. Otherwise, the letter would have to be forwarded. And if it reached him directly, you'd get back your answer perhaps in another week. Prabhupada might answer right away, but then it would be another week before you heard from him. And by that time, with our production schedules, it would be too late. So sometimes if there was some particular question, I would ask, but for the most part, and there were so many questions that we had that we couldn't ask them all. So for the most part, I just did my service and didn't write to him. Obeisances, Hari Prabhu, nice to see you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, glories to Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. Sorry I'm late, I got a bit confused with the login, but we're okay now.
I'm keeping the space warm for you.
I'm logging in just so I can hear the nectar coming from your lotus lips.
Hare Krishna. I'm just, anyway, a small something. So my association, therefore, with Srila Prabhupada mostly by serving, and less by personal contact. And in one sense, that was Prabhupada's instruction, although on the other side, personal contact was relishable and personal contact was sometimes appreciated more. But it was acceptable just to serve. One time, I've told this story before, I'll tell it again. One time when the press was in Boston, ISKCON Press, the devotees had the idea, or was it? Yes, it was ISKCON Press in Boston. Or it could have, no, it was already in, this must have been New York. I think so. Well, now I've forgotten. It could have been New York or could have been Boston. And the press manager had the idea. At that time, the big Rath Yatra, the only really big Rath Yatra in America was in San Francisco. Los Angeles didn't start till about, when, 1977 or something like that. And New York hadn't gotten started really till sometime later. And the big Rath Yatra was San Francisco, and it was very big. Devotees would come from all over the West Coast, and it would be a glorious event with 3 huge chariots and Srila Prabhupada personally attending. So our press manager had the idea that all of the press workers could hop into a van and we could drive nonstop across the country to be there with Srila Prabhupada in San Francisco. And it takes about 3 days, but switching drivers, driving nonstop, we could be there and then turn around and be back. Turn around in another 3 days, be back on the job. So that was the idea, how enlivening it would be to be with Srila Prabhupada, and one moment's association with a pure devotee of Krishna is so valuable that we could be, just by that one day, we could be enlivened for years. So Srila Prabhupada heard that the devotees, that this plan was in the works, and Prabhupada said, what do they want to do that for? He said they should stay there and do their service. They should stay there and do their service. So that was, and I heard the same thing actually from Giriraj Maharaj yesterday, that he went one time to Vrindavan, Giriraj Maharaj, during Srila Prabhupada's time. And he was planning to stay for 3 days when Srila Prabhupada was there. And Prabhupada saw him and said, what is Giriraj doing here? Giriraj means Bombay. What is he doing here? And Giriraj Maharaj said that he felt so, what would you say, guilty that he just, stayed like a day and then he turned around and went back to Bombay. So that side of things was there, that of course there were those fortunate people like Harishai Prabhu whose service was to be with Srila Prabhupada. And that was a difficult service for, among other reasons, because one could become arrogant. I watched this personally from the early days in Boston. I watched one after another servant go down. You know, they would go and be with Srila Prabhupada, and then they would, as we used to say, bloop. For some weeks or months, they'd be with Krishna's pure devotee, and then that would be it. They'd be gone completely. And Aravinda, Purushottam, we can give a long list of names, because as the aphorism goes, that familiarity breeds contempt. In the Shastra, Namarcha Buddhi Suyeta, one should not become envious and think that the spiritual master is an ordinary man. One time there was an advertisement on the back cover of a very early PTG that said something like, "This man has changed the history of the world. Do you know him?" About Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada objected that the spiritual master should not be called a man. Disrespectful to refer to the spiritual master as a man. So I saw that these servants would go down. And the reason is because the material mind kicks in, and we start to see Srila Prabhupada and start to think that in some way or another way, he's less than us and we're more than him. That's what we're doing in the material world. In some way, we're better or more entitled to enjoy. Excuse me just for a second. I'm okay. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Sorry. Why is he enjoying this which I could enjoy? It's the mentality of the person who sees the deity plate and looks at it and thinks of how nice the things would taste for himself. And we do that. We look at like dogs. We look at something and we think, I would like that. I would like that. So we see the respect being given to the spiritual master. We see the honor being given to the spiritual master. We see facility being given to the spiritual master. And we think, why him? Why can't I enjoy this? Or I understand this better. He doesn't know, I know. My intelligence is good. It's one of the material elements in polluted intelligence. But we become proud of our intelligence, proud of our capability, proud of this, proud of that. And then the spiritual master is seen from a mundane point of view, and then everything is finished. Then everything is finished. So that caution is sounded by the Shastra. Namarcha Buddhi Suyeta. One shouldn't see him with the mentality of his being like an ordinary human being. One should not be envious of him. Envy is, I was hearing this also in a recent class, envy goes along with criticism. When we become envious, then we want to criticize. That in that way we become better. I'm better than this person because this person, da 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 da. So if that goes to the spiritual master, we start criticizing the spiritual master, either outwardly or even within our hearts, then everything can be finished. So it's a great credit to the devotees who served Srila Prabhupada personally and did it right, who stayed fixed in Srila Prabhupada's service, saw Srila Prabhupada consistently with respect, with devotion. So I have to admire Hari Sari Prabhu and other devotees who had that. Not many, it's a short list. In fact, the number who left and the number who stayed is disproportionate. So, and now these so many memories are being published. So we're very grateful. I was afraid actually not to be with Prabhupada. I was okay with being someplace where he was, attending his classes, having his personal company. But I was afraid of ever becoming his personal servant for an extended time. I was for like 2 weeks. I was assistant cook and servant for Govindadasi and Gursinder when they were serving Srila Prabhupada. But to be like traveling the world with Srila, I was afraid of that service because I know what kind of envious and critical mind I have. Prabhupada gave me the right engagement to sit and find fault. Look at a sentence and find fault with it. Look at a page and find fault with it. My nature is to be fault finding. So he engaged me suitably. And somehow I escaped the dangerous position of actually being with Srila Prabhupada for an extended time. It's such a blessing for those who can do it in a humble state of mind. And it's a great danger for those who are proud or have the tendency to become proud or arrogant. In Bhagavatam, Sati says to Daksha that by the dust of the feet of great souls, one can be elevated, one can be delivered, but by that same dust, one can be ruined. That was what happened to Daksha. He offended the dust of the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, and there was havoc in his life. So one has to be, what is that? Bandhomvi savadhanamate. I think we translate that as I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. Savadhan literally means, as I understand it, with caution. You know, when there's a road sign in India about some danger, savadhan. Savadhan. One has to be very careful. One has to be very careful in dealing with the spiritual master, in one's service to the spiritual master. Even if not personally present, he gives me something to do. I have to be so careful to do it the way he wanted it done. Not to think, now I have this service, I can do as I like. Now somehow it's meant for or to think it's for my benefit. I can never give this service to anyone else because it's for me. What about me? What about me? And we forget that it's for him. It's for the spiritual master. It's for his mission. And if I think, no, I have to hold on because either I'm getting paid or I'm getting respect or because it gives me security or because it gives me enjoyment, that's, again, problematic. I have to see that it's for him, it's not for me. It's for him, it's not for me. So, savadhanam mate, one has to serve the spiritual master with great attention and great love, really, and with great caution, not to offend, not to allow one's conditioned heart, conditioned mind to get out of control and cause havoc. This is essentially the training of going back to Godhead. What are we doing in this material world where we have our own separate projects? I'm the enjoyer, I'm the controller. This is for me. And the spiritual master trains us that no, your real identity is that you're the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. So we're trained that way by seeing the spiritual master as Krishna's representative. And therefore the same regard, the same obedience, the same affection that we should have for Krishna, that we want to have for Krishna, that we're meant to have for Krishna. We are enabled to develop by serving the lotus feet of the spiritual master. So that these instructions are there for our benefit. And then everything else will follow. Everything else will follow. The first thing is to carry out the instructions of the spiritual master, to respect the instructions of the spiritual master. And then we can go on from there. And that also, because I'm stressing obedience, but love also. And if no love, still obedience. There's a famous incident that Gargamuni, in the very early days, asked Srila Prabhupada, Swamiji, should we bow down to you even if we don't feel anything? We want to be, what's the word, honest. So should I, even if I don't feel anything, should I still bow down? Prabhupada said yes. Because this is the training. First, obedience, respect, and love will develop. That sound was the sound of 7:30, which is the time for me to stop and hand the floor over. Hare Shari Prabhu. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
So, Hare Krishna. Am I on next or?
Yes, Prabhu. All glories to you. All glories to His Holiness Jayadeva Maharaj. We are very fortunate. His Grace Madhupati Prabhu is there, our temple president. Please go ahead, Prabhu.
Thank you very much. Yeah, just following the lead of Jayadvaita Maharaj, he's actually understood very nicely about the way that we should associate with the spiritual master. Of course, the spiritual master, we mean Srila Prabhupada. I think one of the things that I became aware of immediately that I took up personal service to Srila Prabhupada was the potential to fall down because of it. I had the advantage in some respects that I came late in the day, so to speak, I became Prabhupada's personal servant in November of 1975. So there had been previously several GBC secretaries and servants who had difficulties after a short period of being with Prabhupada because various reasons, but mainly I think because familiarity breeds contempt. That's an old English saying, that the longer that you stay with somebody, the more fault you see, or you think you see in them. And devotees, after having an exalted position of being Prabhupada's personal servant, they would fall away. I mean, Maharaj mentioned a couple of names. I won't give any names, but I was aware of, the potential there for committing offense. And I remembered reading Prabhupada had made a comment in one of his books where service to the spiritual master, the personal servants of the spiritual master, the personal servants of the deities, that means the pujaris, should be very careful, more so than normal, because any offense, it's like a fire. If you warm yourself near the fire, that's nice, you get energized. But if you get too close to the fire, you get burnt, the same fire. So right from the beginning that I took up the service, I had it in my mind that I had to make more effort to be humble, and really that humility was the key to retaining that service, that Srila Prabhupada, he may or may not say something if you do something wrong, but you'll still get the results or the reactions to your service. So you could be very rapidly elevated, or you could be very rapidly, what's the word? You could go down very quickly as well. So I considered that if I become Prabhupada's servant, I'm bound to commit offense because I'm not very pure. My own conditioning limits me in what I can do and what I can understand. So there's a great potential there to make mistakes. In fact, it's unavoidable. I'm bound to make mistakes. So what to do? If I don't want to, look at the danger of being too close to Srila Prabhupada, and I stay away from that, just be, one of the regular devotees and not take that risk. That may protect me, but at the same time, then I lose the opportunity to, do this wonderful service, looking after Prabhupada's personal needs as he toured the world preaching Krishna consciousness. So there's like a choice: take up the service and commit offenses, or if you don't want to commit offenses, then stay away. So at least I thought it's better to take the risk. The service is unique. Prabhupada, at the time that I joined his party, he had about 4,000 or 5,000 disciples. He could have picked anybody to do that. But it was being offered to me somehow or another. So I wanted to do it, but I knew that by nature I'm offensive. So what's the solution? So I realized that the solution is that you have to just be very, very humble. You're bound to make mistakes. And the only way to rectify that is to be just very humble, recognize that, we have the potential to make mistakes. And Prabhupada I noted that Prabhupada was very understanding about, the situation that we were coming from. So he would make allowances we were not brought up in Vedic families. We were from Maleccia, Yava, Nadesh. So we were a bit rough and ready, and I can say for myself that my mentality was, let's say, crude by comparison. So if I realized if I was humble, then when I made mistakes, Prabhupada would be very, immediately forgiving. You accept that you've done the wrong thing, and you learn from it. Humility is not something where it means that you withdraw, but rather you continue on and improve. So Prabhupada wanted us to learn from our mistakes and improve our character. So I'll give him one example where Prabhupada, he would give that encouragement. Before joining Prabhupada's party, I was in Vrindavan. I was the temple commander there. And Prabhupada had come to observe Janmashtami, and he stayed through till Radhastami. So one day I got into an altercation. I was the temple commander. I got into an altercation with a Bengali devotee who was just visiting, and it ended up with me, physically having him thrown out of the temple and giving him a bloody nose. So the word got back to Srila Prabhupada that there's been this problem. And Prabhupada sent for me, and I explained the details of what had happened in this unfortunate altercation. And at the end of it, Prabhupada understood, although there had been some provocation from the other fellow on me, my way of dealing with that. He said, "You have committed a great offense." He said, "We're in Vrindavan, now this boy will go and tell all the bridge basses that the Westerners have beaten him up," and like that. So he said, "You have to go and find this boy, apologize, and invite him to our temple." So I was devastated, actually, that I'd done such a foolish thing. I went out, I looked, I made some inquiries. I couldn't find where this boy was staying. So I was very miserable. And then the next day, I was up in my room. Upendra Prabhu, who was Prabhupada's servant, knocked on the door. I opened it. He told me, "Now Prabhupada wants to see you." So I thought, oh, now I'm going to have to go and tell Prabhupada that I couldn't fulfill his wishes, that I apologized to this boy and bring him back to the temple. So I went down into Prabhupada's room, and he was having a general darshan. So he saw me enter and he called me over. And this boy had actually come back of his own accord, and he was sitting there in the darshan, and he came to apologize to Srila Prabhupada for his part in our, undesirable action. And so Prabhupada, he was very kind, very, what's the word? Just forgiving, and always positive about any situation. So he told me, you go in the servant's room there, there was a basket of fruit that had been given to him during the darshan. So he said, "Take this fruit, you go in the other room there, and you apologize, then it will all be over." So, that for me, one of the first times that I'd personally had dealings with Prabhupada was, on account of this horrible offense, this great offense that I'd committed towards this boy. Yet 2-3 months later, when Prabhupada came to Delhi in November of 75, Prabhupada needed someone to give him his massage just for 3 or 4 days because his regular servants were not available. And I had been posted at the door of Prabhupada's room by Gopal Krishna Maharaj. He was the GBC at that time, just to act as like a door guard. So Prabhupada had noted that I was sitting there. And the next day, Harikesh, who was traveling on the party at that time, he came to find me and he told me that now Prabhupada needs somebody to give his massage for a few days, and the other servants are not here. So, you're it. You have to go up on the roof. Prabhupada's taking his massage from Upendra. So go up on the roof, watch, and see how he does it, and then you'll be doing it for the next 3 or 4 days. So, naturally, I was amazed that, I was getting this opportunity. It was unbelievable, actually. And when I went up on the roof, sure enough, Srila Prabhupada was there. Upendra was giving him his massage. I offered my obeisances and then sat and watched Upendra give Prabhupada his noon massage. And after about a minute, Prabhupada had his eyes closed when I came up. After about a minute, he opened his eyes and he saw me sitting there, and he said, yes. And the way that he said it created a doubt whether I had heard correctly from Harikesh that Prabhupada needs somebody to do his massage, and I was available. So I repeated what Harikesh had told me, and Prabhupada tilted his head. He said, all right, very good. And that was it. So I did do the massage for 3 or 4 days. Then Prabhupada made me his full-time servant at the beginning of December. And I realized, Srila Prabhupada never once mentioned or even hinted about the mistake that I'd made there in Vrindavan 2 months before. For him, it was case closed, go on with your service and don't look back. And so that struck me that Prabhupada was very forgiving. He was very generous. If you were humble, then he would overlook the problems and he would expect you to, improve and learn from it. So it was just, the compassion that Prabhupada had. In fact, when I was the temple commander in Vrindavan, we had a devotee, another one who later on left, Nitai Das. And he had been Prabhupada's, I think, Bengali editing, Sanskrit editing, and he had traveled and been Prabhupada's personal servant, done those duties. And then when Prabhupada came to Vrindavan for that Janmashtami in 75, Nitai dropped off the party. And when Prabhupada left, Nitai remained in Vrindavan, ostensibly to refine the worship of the deities. These were the first, big set of deities in the movement. And of course, Vrindavan is such an important place. So he wanted to stay and help develop the standards for the deity worship. And he was also going to give educational service. We had just started the Gurukul there in Vrindavan, so he was going to help develop the Gurukul as well. So Prabhupada accepted that he wanted to do this. So he let him stay in Vrindavan. Prabhupada moved on, I think Bombay and then South Africa and Mauritius. And so in Vrindavan, Nitai was there. He was, the senior man. And I remember every day for breakfast, we would all sit in the room, and then he would tell us some Prabhupada Katha, which was very enlivening. And one morning at the end of breakfast, I told Nitai, I said, "You're so fortunate, that you actually, had this personal service for Prabhupada." I said, I could never, I'm so gross, I could never do that. I'd be afraid of harming Prabhupada, maybe, cutting him or just, dealing roughly with him. So I said, I could never do that, to actually touch Prabhupada's body because I'm so unqualified and gross. And he just laughed. He said, well, if you got the chance, you would, you would take it. And then my reply was that, well, I'm never going to get the chance anyway. And so 2 months later, there I am in Delhi, and by Prabhupada's mercy, I did get that chance for personal service. So how to maintain it, that was the thing. As I say, I had heard that previous servants and secretaries had problems after, relatively short periods. They would fall away because of offenses committed in the service of Srila Prabhupada, personal service. So that was my first realization, I think, was that it's not possible for me to avoid committing offenses because I'm so unpurified, and Prabhupada is on such an exalted level of Krishna consciousness. And that was another thing, to be able to stay with Srila Prabhupada. It means temporarily you're placed, or you have to place yourself on the very best level of Krishna consciousness that you can manage. And if you don't do that, you're going to run into trouble. So I was very keen, to do the service, and at the same time very cautious. I think that's the right word. I did, make a lot of mistakes and offenses sometimes, but because I adopted, this mood of just trying to be as humble as possible, Prabhupada, when he saw that the mistake had been rectified, then he would just go on. He wouldn't mention it, just as I made this big offense in the Janmashtami period, but 2 or 3 months later, this opportunity came. They were looking for somebody to massage Srila Prabhupada, and Harikesh had seen me in action as the temple commander in Vrindavan, and he wasn't very impressed. Because I was a very, let's say, Rajasic kind of person, very passionate, and rough in my dealings, very untrained. So when Prabhupada and Harikesh we were in Delhi, they discussed, well, who's going to do the massage now that Upendra's leaving? Prabhupada said, well, this Australian boy, he's sitting at the door as the door guard, so he can do. So Harikesh, he tried to persuade Prabhupada that, no, he's not really, trained up enough. We need somebody a bit more. So Prabhupada said, no, he's here, so let's give him the chance. So it was on Prabhupada's initiative that I got to be his personal, or render personal service to him, despite what I'd done, 2 months before. So that was Prabhupada's mercy. Once the thing was done, it was done. Now just go on. He didn't like devotees criticizing, about other devotees. He just encouraged all of us to do the best you can, and then Krishna will give you the intelligence when it's required. And because I ended up traveling with Prabhupada for 16 months. And when I left the party, that was in March of 1977, I did so because I felt that I was becoming a little too familiar. Familiarity breeds contempt. There'd been a couple of small incidences when we arrived in Mayapur, small things, like I'd forgotten to check to see if there were towels in Prabhupada's bathroom. So Prabhupada had gone to wash his hands after taking prasadam, and there was no towel there for him to dry his hands. And when he came out from the bathroom, I was on the veranda, and Prabhupada, he asked me, where are the towels? So I realized I made a mistake. And Prabhupada told me, he said, it may be a small thing. Yeah, all right, the towel's not there, but if you don't do it, then I am inconvenienced. So there were 2 or 3 exchanges where I had, failed to do my duty properly. So I realized that I felt like I was getting a bit stale, and that I was not taking seriously enough these small items. And of course, small items means that they become big items later on. So I started to feel within my heart that my service, personal service to Prabhupada, is coming to a close. I didn't want to commit offenses. And so after discussing the situation with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who had just come on as Prabhupada's permanent secretary, then I went up to see Srila Prabhupada, and I told him that I think that it would be good for me to have a change of service. And I told him, I said, I don't want to commit offenses. So Prabhupada immediately responded to that. He said, yes, very good. So I was asking him if I could, leave his personal service and go out and do some preaching. So Prabhupada appreciated the fact that I was aware enough of my own situation that I may be prone to commit some offense. And so he was happy that, I could recognize that. So he said, all right, so what will you do? That was the next question. But anyway, that's a different part of the story. But the point I'm trying to make, Sam, is Jayadvaita Maharaj mentioned, is that, it was simultaneously a wonderful thing to get this chance to travel with Prabhupada, but it was also dangerous. And you had to be very alert and aware of your own state of consciousness so that you didn't make offenses. So do we have other topics? Or I'm not sure how long I'm supposed to be speaking here.
Hare Krishna Prabhu is great. Dravida Prabhu joined. So from 8 to 8:15 at time. scheduled. So you can still speak few more minutes is there. After 8:15, you can still continue between yourself and His Holiness Jayadis Maharaj.
Well, I can take some questions if that's.
Yes. Yeah, that's fine, Prabhu.
So, does anybody have any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. Thank you so much for sharing so beautifully. I had just one question. What is your favorite memory of Srila Prabhupada? Is it possible? I mean, if you could share it with us, it would be really nice.
Oh, just the whole, the whole time. I don't know whether we can speak in terms of, what's favorite or not favorite. Every aspect of serving Srila Prabhupada was always, wonderfully enlivening. One of the things that I did appreciate, as far as his preaching goes, was that when you were traveling with Prabhupada, then practically every destination, there would be a huge festival. Maharaj mentioned there about devotees going to San Francisco. So they were prepared to drive for 3 days just so they could have 1 day in the Rath Yatra and then drive 3 days back again. So when you were traveling with Srila Prabhupada, there was it was like a festival every day. Devotees would come from all over the cities and countries that Prabhupada visited, just to get that few seconds or few minutes to see Prabhupada, to hear from Prabhupada. And they go back to their temples thoroughly enlivened. And that would last you through till the next time you saw Prabhupada. So, it's that was one of the things that I enjoyed, was traveling with Prabhupada. So that's on a big scale. On a small scale, there was sometimes little intimate exchanges that you had the opportunity to have. Prabhupada's being in Prabhupada's personal service gave you a little freedom. Sometimes to be with Prabhupada alone. One thing that really I really relished was going to the Kumbh Mela with Prabhupada in 1977. We'd set off from Bombay, I think, on January the 10th or the 11th, and Prabhupada was going to go there for a week or two and preach at the Kumbh Mela. So we traveled by train. We left Bombay. There was probably about 30, 40 devotees in the carriage. Prabhupada was in one cubicle, and I think Rameshwara Swami was there at that time. Bhavananda maybe. Anyway, there were not Bhavananda, he came later. But anyway, there were a number of senior devotees, much more senior than me, and we had some some discussion as the train was going, and then it came to breakfast time. So we packed Prabhupada's tiffin box with all different kinds of prasadam, and my idea was that I had to ask all the men to vacate the cabin whilst Prabhupada took his prasadam. So I was going to serve him his prasadam and then go out, wait for Prabhupada to finish. When he rang the bell, go back in and clear everything away, and then offer the Maha Prasadam from Prabhupada to all the senior devotees. But it didn't work out that way. Everybody left. Prabhupada and myself were in the cabin, and he asked me, now open up the tiffin box. And as I did so, Prabhupada identified which prasadam he wanted. So he started eating, and he stopped me from going out. He said, no, you sit here and you eat with me. And so I was taking, bits of different prasad and putting it on Prabhupada's plate. And then when he got enough, he said, you eat. So he was still eating himself, but he told me, now you sit and you eat. So I got this, wonderful opportunity to just share prasadam with Srila Prabhupada. So there were little opportunities like that, but that's one of my favorite ones. Prabhupada gave me a little bit of special attention. Is that all right?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very beautiful pastime.
Is there any other questions?
Thank you, Prabhu. Risavri Prabhu. Dravida Prabhu will sing his poem on Prabhupada for 15 minutes. After that, you can continue. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Well, I'm in Mayapur,
Yes.
and it's 6:30 in the morning. So if Dravida, does his wonderful chanting, then with your permission, I'll withdraw from this conference.
Okay, Prabhu.
And I realize, I haven't contributed very much to the conversation, but you have Dravida, and I guess Jayadvaita Maharaj is not there now, or is
Yeah.
he? Maybe he
No,
is.
he left. He had to go to the other channel. So Giriraj Maharaj will be joining at, I think, 8:30 or so.
Right. So, with your permission, I'll end my.
Thank you very much. You really touched our heart with so many, wonderful memories, and some memories with instructions so that it can stick in our heart, that we don't take it for granted when we are serving our spiritual master. So thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you all. It's been a pleasure,
Th-
and thank you for inviting me to
Thank you, Prabhu.
glorify Srila Prabhupada.
Before you leave, if I may request humbly, please come again on our channel. So I will send an email request for another class or Prabhupada Katha, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be happy to oblige.
Hare Krishna, Hare Prabhu. Can you hear me?
Hey, Dravida Prabhu, glories to Prabhupada.
Glories
Wonderful
Prabhupada.
to see you, as effulgent as ever. Are
Thank
you
you.
still down in San Diego?
I'm still here, just a block from where you lived. And remember back in.
I do, 1990.
Yeah, it's been a while.
All right, so I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've got my own schedule here. I gotta go to the temple in 20 minutes, so I better do poetry.
Away you go.
Hare
So
Krishna.
thank you all very much. I'm going to leave now.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Dravid Prabhu.
Are you ready for me?
Yes, Prabhu. Go ahead.
All right, I have a selection. If we run out of time, that's okay. I'll read some of this poetry first. Obeisances to Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachade Shatarine. Om. Wait a minute. I got some here. Can you hear that a little bit?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Om. I bow to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, whose mission is to teach the art of purely serving God. To Krishna, no one on this earth can be more dear than he, for at Sri Krishna's lotus feet he dwells eternally. Obeisances to you, O prime disciple of your Lord, Sri Saraswati Thakur, wielder of the preaching sword. By preaching Lord Chaitanya's words, you saved the Western lands from voidism, impersonalist creeds, and all such shams. So that's obeisances. And I have something called the Prabhupada Kripashtaka. Now I wrote and offered this back on Prabhupada's disappearance day in 1997 in Vrindavan. So this has been around a while, but many of you may not have heard it. Now it's based on the Gurvashtaka. You can hear the Gurvashtaka echo in here. Trapped within samsara's all-devouring blazing fire, we had no hope of rescue. To your guru's strong desire, inspired and empowered you to boldly cross the sea and teach the truths of bhakti, so some souls would be set free. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. Patiently you taught us how to chant the holy name, and how to dance, and how to sing, and what was life's true aim. And thus you gave us Lord Chaitanya's teachings unalloyed, and saved us from the all-devouring Mayavadi void. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. When Krishna Bhakti spread and you had centers here and there, you introduced the worship of the deities so fair. And soon throughout the world their lordships smiled upon your crew and nourished strong devotion to themselves and unto you. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. Prasadam was your special weapon, no one could resist. Once the Sunday feast had started, no one could desist. Halva, sweet rice, crisp pakoras, sabjis, puris, rice. With these and other preps, you did our tongues and hearts entice. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. The books you shower down upon the masses and on us taught scripture's sacred essence, bhakti pure and nectarous. And while you wrote, you relished Sri Sri Radha Krishna's name and form and pastime qualities and everlasting fame. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. While managing your ISKCON with the whole world as your stage, meeting, preaching, traveling like a man of half your age, you served their lordships, Sri Sri Radha Krishna, in your heart, arranging for their pastimes in Vrindavan's secret part. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. The Guru is as good as God, you said, and some were shocked. But you had simply quoted scripture. You did not concoct. And sure enough, for those who worship you as they would God, the path of bhakti opens wide and joyfully is trod. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. If you bestow your mercy, then Sri Krishna gives his too. But if your mercy is lacking, then there's nothing we can do. So every day we should reflect upon your life sublime and vow to serve you always with our body, words, and mind. O Prabhupada, your mercy is my only treasure now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. I pray that my small hymn, though lacking literary worth, presented to remind us of your pastimes on this earth, may find some favor both with you and with your devotees who hover around your lovely lotus feet like maddened bees. O Prabhupada, I pray that you bestow your mercy now. Unto your soothing lotus feet I bow. So that's my little Kripashtaka. Should I do one more? Is there time?
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Okay. So this is a poem written by Kushakrata Prabhu in 1978 for the Vyas Puja book, written in Sanskrit. And he gave the English translation. Also, Jayatirtha Prabhu had input on the content of this poem. So I put it into English poetry. I'll give you a flavor of the Sanskrit just by the first verse. Shri Sri Navadvipa Parapradipa Sandipyamana satato bhuviha chetastamo yasya yatnat tam kirtayama Prabhupada devam. The transcendental lamp of Navadvip Gauranga Dev, he took with great endeavor round the world the souls to save, who long had dwelt in darkness, never chanting Krishna's name. To Srila Prabhupada I bow, his glories I proclaim. The sacred treasure left by Vyas and other learned saints, he rendered into English, free of speculation's taints. And thus he mercifully fulfilled Sri Saraswati's aim. To Srila Prabhupada I bow, his glories I proclaim. The brilliant sun of Lord Govinda's form is shining bright. The brilliant sun of Lord Govinda's form is shining bright throughout this world because of his sharp logic's awesome might. That sun makes all the Mayavadi glowworms hide in shame. To Srila Prabhupada I bow, his glories I proclaim. The pristine Ganges of the Bhagavat flows everywhere because of his great effort. In that stream, the sages' prayers are gems, and Krishna's pastimes are swans sporting unrestrained. To Srila Prabhupada I bow, his glories I proclaim. Ensuring that his mission's victory would be complete, he planted Shri Radha Krishna's charming lotus feet in temples by the dozen and in countless hearts unchained. To Srila Prabhupada I bow, his glories I proclaim. The fierce and formidable army led by wicked Kali is being slain by arrow showers, volley upon volley. Those arrows are his all auspicious books of spotless fame. To Srila Prabhupada I bow, his glories I proclaim. The Hare Krishna movement's a desired tree whose fruits are all the splendid ways Lord Gaura's army wins recruits. To plant that tree upon the earth, from Krishna's realm he came. To Srila Prabhupada I bow, his glories I proclaim. An ocean of compassion he has taken shelter of, Sri Nanda's son with all his being in everlasting love. He lives on by his words, whose followers with him remain. To Srila Prabhupada I bow, his glories I proclaim. So I added a ninth verse of my own. I pray that those who hear this hymn, which shines the brilliant light of Srila Prabhupada's renown in Kali Yuga's night, will soon attain firm faith in his instruction, so that they may one day join him in Golok and there with Krishna stay. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Okay, I have time for one real short one. Is there time? I know my time is up, but
No, please continue.
one more.
Please continue. Yeah.
Okay, this is called the Paean to Prabhupada. O Prabhupada, we hail the day when you appear just like a ray of Krishna's vast effulgence bright to give this blind world back its sight. We thank you from the bottom of our heart and pray with deepest love that we may serve your lotus feet in every circumstance we meet. As years go by and books go out, we see what life is all about, to serve your mission and our Lord's by spreading wide your sacred words. As well, you want us all to strive to let those words direct our lives. This safest path will lead us home, no more in Maya's realm to roam. And that's the poems I wrote about Srila Prabhupada. Haribol?
Very good. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So it's about 5:20 here, and our program will be starting in a few minutes in the temple. So
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Kavim Puranam Anusasitaram. As
and already
we see
yeah.
in Bhagavad Gita, so you are expertly exemplified that quality of Kavi. So, thank you, thank you.
But doesn't that describe Krishna? I think it's Krishna Kavim Puranam.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
but that is one of the out of 26 qualities. That is one of the quality of a devotee to be a Kavi. It has many meanings, but I think your poetic.
I'm aspiring. But Srila Prabhupada taught us, in this Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's one verse quoted twice or three times from the Krishna Karnamrita about the sweetness of Krishna and how his form is so sweet, but his face is even sweeter. But sweetness is always a smile.
Yes.
Some of you know this. It's an easy verse to memorize. Madoram madoram vapadasya vibho madoram madoram vadanam madoram. Madogandhi madusmitameta daho. Madoram 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 madoram. Sweet, sweet is my dear Lord's form. Sweet is still his face so fair. but his honey-scented gentle smile is sweet beyond compare. So I'm going to send, who's my correspondent here?
You can send it to.
Yeah, so I'll send you my poetry file, and if anyone wants the poetry, they can write to you and get it. Okay?
Yes, I'll share it. Yeah. As we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita, yeah, Venu Ganamrita Dhama Lavanyamrita Janmasthana. I think gopis are explaining about the Lord's beautiful form, his flute and his face in Chaitanya Charitamrita. That verse is there, I think, in Antilila 3rd chapter, I think.
Yes, yes. It's Chaitanya, the Anji Leela is an ocean of wonderful shlokas.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much for your attention. I'm glad I could contribute, and my obeisances to all the participating devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to you.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Vancha kalpatarupyasya kripa sindhubhyo sapattanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo Vaishnavamrita Jai. So before, I think, Giriraj Swami Maharaj joins, I think devotees can speak. Prabhu. Prabhu.
Yeah, let's see. Any volunteers who like to speak about the realization of Srila Prabhupada in their lives?
Prabhu, I had a question. Does Dravid Prabhu have a book of his poetry?
I can ask him, but he has a lot of poetry written. So whether he compiled into a book or not, I don't know. But I can share. We can share.
He's ready to share his poetry.
Yeah, he had shared before a couple of them last time when he gave class. So I had posted it, but I'll ask him if he has a book, compiled a book or a PDF or something.
We can get his poetry published. Just as an aside, maybe I can call you. Amazon Kindle does both ebook as well as hard copy, means the paperback version. So if we can probably help him in that area. It's wonderful, his poetries.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Prabhu, yeah.
Dravida Prabhu, those who don't know him, he's a very senior editor of our society. He has edited Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada Srimad Bhagavatam is mostly edited by Dravida Prabhu. So, we are very fortunate to have this wonderful souls has contributed so much to our society. Yeah. And living simply and just being absorbed in Srila Prabhupada's consciousness by whatever way they want to express it. And Dravida Prabhu is nicely expressing it through his wonderful poetry. Yep. Very nice.
Yeah. Many years of strict sadhana. So Prabhu said, I'm not going to be available until 8 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning. So that is time for chanting. So he's very fixed on, so that strict sadhana. So we can understand from his poetry.
Okay, anybody else would like to share something?
Maybe we'll give chance. Mataji, any Mataji want to share? I see Gundicha Mataji and any other Mataji want to share the realization Govindranandani Mataji. Anybody else? Please go ahead.
Please go ahead, Mataji. You can unmute and like something about Srila Prabhupada.
Go ahead, Amalakopika Mataji, if you want to speak, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Yes, Mat.
Krishna.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namne Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Parcharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Desha Dharine. We are very grateful to have wonderful Prabhupada disciples, to hear from them very wonderfully, nicely, how they had personal experiences. And it was very soothing to the heart, actually. So on their personal touch with Srila Prabhupada's association. And we were feeling like, actually I was feeling like maybe we were there somewhere, but we were not there. But actually we are still with Srila Prabhupada now also. He is still here with us. We feel very fortunate of Srila Prabhupada, who gave us such a wonderful, actually, association of all the devotees. And not only their disciples, their grand disciples also, and which now actually so more appreciation, the more time is going, the more appreciation is coming in our hearts, like how Srila Prabhupada's books, his Vani changed so many hearts, made hard heart to soft hearts, made everybody like if one family. So they care about each other so much. Actually I was realizing in this pandemic now also that so many devotees are here in our community, and everybody was taking care of each other so much. Actually maybe I haven't done that, but other devotees so much they were caring. Even now they are caring. So it's only, I was feeling like it's only the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Because of him, actually all this ISKCON started, and all this a big house, like Prabhupada said, he gave it's a one roof where everybody can stay under that. So we feel like it's like a Gordhan Parvat, and we all are underneath that. So, and it is all the mercy of, because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So it's so we are very, very grateful to Srila Prabhupada and all the devotees also, Prabhupada disciples, grand disciples, great grand disciples, everybody. So we are very, very grateful. So that and we pray to Srila Prabhupada, give us bless us, so we can serve you in small way anytime. I mean, I don't feel like I have any qualification, but because with the mercy of Prabhupada, anything can happen. So this is my prayer. I can serve Srila Prabhupada and the Vaishnavas, all the Vaishnavas, and give me the proper consciousness and proper mood, so I can become a humble servant of the servant of the servant of you, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yes, Prabhupada ki jai. Anyone else? Mataji's or Prabhuji's?
Prabhu, if I can
Yeah, please. Amritam, go ahead.
with Srila Prabhupada's books. Actually,
Go ahead.
my family came into ISKCON because of Prabhupada's books. And it was like this in the 80s in school. I had a very dear Muslim friend, Mustafa, and his mother was the life member of Juhu, ISKCON. And she had a complete set of Prabhupada's books. And he used to come to my house, I go to his house. So one day I saw the Krishna book and the spelling of Krishna, K-R-S-N-A, with those dots underneath. So I said, this is a curious way of spelling Krishna. So I picked that book. And first of all, I was like, what is a Hindu book, Bhagavad Gita and everything, doing in a Muslim person's home? So I picked up that Krishna book and I opened it, didn't much read it, but the photos and all were very beautiful. That deluxe edition, or what you call it, means very beautiful book. So I said, how you have it? So he explained, my mother is this and it's kept there in the bookshelf. So I said, can I borrow it? He says, yeah, take. So I brought the book home to show, and my mother likes to read. And she read and she's saying, I want to meet this, how well he has written, I want to meet this Swami. Somehow or the other, it didn't happen. And then Mustafa used to keep bringing books home, whatever was in the collection, and then my mother would read, return it. And then later on, after many years, maybe 10 years or more, you get busy in your life. My mother was at a dentist, and Prem Leela Mataji was also at the same dentist, and Mataji was wearing a tilak. So my mother asked, what is this? I've never seen this tilak before. Usually you have the 3 lines of the Shiva, and you may have just one red line. So what is this? So she explained, this is a Vaishnav tilak, and like this. And she's saying, oh really, where is the temple? And then Radha Gopinath. And from there, the journey started. So the books, what we look at Srila Prabhupada's books, now we understand Vani is more important than Vapu. Vapu inspires, but Vani remains forever. When the book distribution, someone distributed these books to Mustafa's mother. And from there, it came to our house. And from there, the journey to Krishna consciousness started. So this thing about the book, not only that we read, but when it is distributed, we never know whose life it can touch and change. So thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Very nice, Amritanand. Thank you very much. Anybody else would like to share?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanutamar, Vishal Prabhupada.
Please.
I think we have few more minutes, so I want to share my experiences and realizations about Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namni. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarni. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this was long time back, 1995 or 96. It was about to be the Srila Prabhupada's centennial celebration. Yeah, it's 1996, I think, a few months earlier, 1996. So they were some devotees. They came to my town. My town is about 100 kilometers from Bangalore. So they traveled a book distribution party. They traveled from Bangalore. They were visiting all around the Bangalore areas. So they came to my town and they were distributing Bhagavad Gita in Telugu. So my father, he bought that Bhagavad Gita. I mean, as an Indian family, as an Indian Hindu family, we knew what is Bhagavad Gita. We know, we knew what are gods and demigods and all the stuff. But this book was different. So my father, as a regular Hindu family person, he bought that Bhagavad Gita to my home, and he kept it in a sacred place, like you have that. Um, the DT area, right? Generally, like all South Indian Hindus, they have it. So he kept it there, and it was that Bhagavad Gita was being prayed, in the sense like it was with all the prayers. We have Bhagavad Gita as a DT there, but we were never opening it. So one day I opened it. It was very beautiful, and I saw that there was something called as Prabhupada. So that was very shocking for me. And I saw this effulgent man sitting there with a smile. And but I didn't understand what is this Prabhupada. I have seen, being in South India, I have seen that the pada is used by these Christians, like Yesupada and all those padas. So I was thinking, what is this Prabhupada? So then that increased my curiosity. I turned another page. Then there was another pada, that was Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami, I think. I don't remember the picture exactly. But right after that, there were beautiful pictures, beautifully artwork, and there were quotations at the bottom with the verses, pointing to the verses and the page numbers. So that really increased my curiosity to read that book of Srila Prabhupada, and it was there. So that was 1996, right? So in 1997, in my engineering college, I met with Sri Mukunda. So Sri Mukunda, he somehow he got introduced. His family got introduced to ISKCON, and he got me into this. Like he got some books, Science of Self-Realization, and some few other books that showed me. After a couple of years, I realized that in my life, actually in our family, the first entrance is the book of Srila Prabhupada, which is Bhagavad Gita. And that is the importance that a book of Srila Prabhupada plays in anyone's life. If a book enters someone's house, that means that family is going to be devotees after few days, maybe years. For sure, the transformation will be there. So that is my realization, Prabhu. That is the importance of Srila Prabhupada's books. And on this day, especially the disappearance day of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, I want to really, I was remembering what Srila Prabhupada had done for this universe, right? I mean, there is no one has done what he has done so far. It is amazing the way the thinking Srila Prabhupada had, the thoroughness, or the future looking characteristics. He had that future insights also. For example, he didn't appoint a single personality after him as a leader for the ISKCON. What he did was he made a society, he made a GBC, a group. So all those things shows that he was very thoughtful, very thorough. So if we had one guru, right? I was listening to His Holiness Bhakti Chara Maharaj's class. So Maharaj was mentioning that if there was only one guru after him, or a follower of guru of Srila Prabhupada, then if that guru falls down, then there is no hope for all the people or all the devotees depending upon that guru. So instead of that, what Srila Prabhupada did was, in this Kali Yuga, there are chances of fall down. So he made a GBC, a group of devotees as representatives of ISKCON. so that if one falls on, it doesn't matter. It, like, there are many others who's gonna cover or take care of that society. So that is the position, or that is the insight Srila Prabhupada had running this ISKCON. And he was always thinking about his Guru's instructions, His Holiness, His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami. And he was meditating upon how to establish this ISKCON, and he wanted to fulfill the dreams of, or the words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prithvi Ache Jata Sarva, whatever, all the villages and towns in the world should have my name in within few years. So that's what Srila Prabhupada had done and showed to us. And thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada, and we are very grateful to you. And there is no hope, and there is no chance at all for a being like me to be sustainable or sustaining in devotion without your mercy. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Maharaj joined. Madhupal.
Oh, thank you very much, Maharaj.
Right.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. We are very fortunate to have you, Misters. Please share some of your wonderful association with Srila Prabhupada.
Okay. So we are gathered on the auspicious occasion of Srila Prabhupada's Divine Disappearance Day. We have about a half hour, so I won't, well, unless you suggest, but I think I won't begin by singing the Mangalacharna prayers and leading a short kirtan because our time is short, but I will just begin by speaking.
Okay, Maharaj.
So I'm very grateful to Srila Prabhupada for having brought me into your association. Once on his Guru Maharaj's disappearance day, Srila Prabhupada said, "On the absolute platform, there's no difference between the appearance and the disappearance of the spiritual master. Both are beautiful, just like the sunrise and the sunset. So although we feel separation, within that separation, our remembrance of Srila Prabhupada is heightened. And thus we experience the beauty of his presence in separation. Remembering Srila Prabhupada's words that the disappearance is also beautiful, I want to share with you a lesson I learned from his departure. A few days before he was to leave us, Srila Prabhupada expressed his desire to travel by bullock cart to different holy places in India. His Holiness Lokanath Swami had been traveling by bullock cart to different places of pilgrimage. And Srila Prabhupada was very enlivened when Lokanath Swami reported to him in Vrindavan. And Prabhupada said that he too would like to go on pilgrimage on a bullock cart. He asked Lokanath Swami to arrange it, and Lokanath Swami was enthusiastic, especially having been encouraged by Srila Prabhupada in such a direct way. He immediately went to organize the cart and make all the arrangements. Govardhan Puja was to take place in a couple of days, and Prabhupada said that he would begin his pilgrimage by traveling on a bullock cart to Govardhan Hill to celebrate Govardhan Puja with the Vrajavasis. At that time, Srila Prabhupada was bedridden, and one could say emaciated. he was unable to eat, and he was only able to sip a little liquid. He was gaunt and weak with almost no energy. He would just lie on his bed, and sometimes, with great difficulty, he would speak softly, often so faintly that only those very near him could hear his words. There were many devotees in the room when Srila Prabhupada had his exchange with Lokanath Swami. And immediately after the discussion ended and devotees went outside the room, they began to express two strong, heartfelt opinions about what Srila Prabhupada should do. And more than that, how we as disciples should relate to him and serve him. One group, which included Lokanath Swami and other esteemed senior disciples, such as Hansadura Prabhu and Bharajaj Prabhu, felt that we should just do what the spiritual master orders. We shouldn't question his order, we should just execute it. And some of the other disciples, many of whom had been attending to Prabhupada's personal care, felt that Prabhupada's health would not sustain his travels on a bullock cart, and that because he was so emaciated, he had practically no flesh on his bones, it would be very painful for him to go. Even if they padded the cart with a mattress, it would still be a basic bullock cart. And the roads in Vraja were very rough, so the movement of the cart would jostle him, and he would feel pain. Some devotees feared that he might even give up his body on the way. They did not want him to be subjected to what they foresaw as certain pain, and perhaps even death. But under the circumstances, this second position was difficult to maintain because Srila Prabhupada was so emphatic. Let me travel to all the tirthasthans, he had said. And whatever objections devotees had raised against the proposal, he had countered. One day experiment, he had pleaded. Rest assured, I will not die in one day. And when even his Kaviraj had predicted that with all the jostling on the bullock cart, Prabhupada would not survive more than 2 hours, Prabhupada had replied, but I think I shall be cured. Still, Tamal Krishna Goswami, Bhakti True Swami, Bhakti Srup Damodar Maharaj, Bhavananda Maharaj, and others felt strongly that this experiment would have dire consequences. But how to convince Prabhupada? So the controversy continued, and finally things came to the stage where the bullock cart was waiting outside the gates of the Krishna Balaram Mandir, and everything was being readied. The evening before his planned departure, Srila Prabhupada was lying on his bed. Bhakti True Swami was in the room, and Srila Prabhupada's godbrother, Kinchana Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj, came to visit. Babaji Maharaj was a very advanced devotee. Srila Prabhupada said that he was a Paramahamsa. He was always absorbed in Harinam, and he was always blissful. And he and Prabhupada had an extraordinarily affectionate relationship. So Bhakti True Swami thought, let me appeal to Babaji Maharaj. If he asks Prabhupada not to go, then Prabhupada may listen. So he brought Babaji Maharaj into another room and spoke with him there. Having heard what had happened, Babaji Maharaj returned to Srila Prabhupada's bedside and told him, I don't think you should go on this parikrama. And when Prabhupada heard this, he replied, if you feel that way, then I won't go. Just then, Tamal Krishna Goswami and Bhavananda Maharaj, who had been upstairs in what previously had been Prabhupada's bedroom, came back down in a very emotional mood. Prabhupada knew what they were thinking, and he asked, so, you request me not to go? Tamal Krishna Goswami responded, Srila Prabhupada, we were getting so upset. 2 devotees told me that this road is so bad that if you go on this road, you're going to be jolted back and forth. The road is terrible. If anyone wants you to travel, I do. But why do we have to go when you're in this condition? I can't understand. All right, Prabhupada said, I will not go. Bhavananda said, thank you, Srila Prabhupada. I was in too much anxiety. No, I cannot put you in anxiety. I shall do what you like. My left hand and my right hand. I cannot refuse. Actually, Srila Prabhupada, we're so attached to you that you practically drive us to madness sometimes. Tonight we were becoming mad. No, I shall not do that. Then Srila Prabhupada turned to Babaji Maharaj and said, just see how much they love me. Tamal Krishna said, Srila Prabhupada, the way you deal with us simply deepens our attachment to you at every moment. And Srila Prabhupada replied, it is my duty. So that was a very significant statement that Prabhupada considered to be his duty, to deepen our attachment to him, and through our attachment to him, our attachment to Krishna. So for the devotees in the room, it was a jubilant occasion that Prabhupada had agreed not to go. But when the news reached the other group, they were upset. This is not our duty as disciples, to try to prevail upon our spiritual master. Our duty is to execute his will. He said that he wanted to go by bullock cart to Govardhan, and our duty was to arrange for what he wanted. Our duty is not to advise him or prevail upon him according to our perception. And this controversy continued until the end. So eventually, Srila Prabhupada left. But even after he left, the controversy continued. And the feelings still ran strong on both sides. And I still could not determine who was right. There were devotees senior to me on both sides, devotees whom I respected and had served. Personally, I may have been closer to some of the ones engaged in Prabhupada's personal service, but I still wasn't sure who was right, and it was on my mind. It was my practice to chant japa in Srila Prabhupada's rooms when he was not there. And after he departed, I did that. I was in his room chanting japa, and behind his bed was an area with his bookshelves. Somehow I found a little corner there and was chanting when my eyes fell upon the new volume of Srimad Bhagavatam that had just arrived, the 10th Canto, Volume 2. It had been delivered into Srila Prabhupada's hands in his last days. So I saw the book. It had gold embossing, especially made for Srila Prabhupada. I opened it up, and it happened to open to chapter 9, Mother Yashoda binds Krishna. I read a few verses and purports, and then I came to a verse that to me answered the question. And I'll read that verse. Evam sandarshita yanga harina brityavasyata swavasena pikrishnena yasyedam sesvaram vashe. O Maharaj Parikshit, the entire universe, with its great exalted demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Indra, is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet the Supreme Lord has one transcendental attribute. He comes under the control of his devotees. This was now exhibited by Krishna in this pastime. And the pastime was encapsulated in the previous verse. Translation. Because of Mother Yashoda's hard labor, her whole body became covered with perspiration, and the flowers and comb were falling from her hair. When the child Krishna saw his mother thus fatigued, he became merciful to her and agreed to be bound. So when I read these verses, I thought, this is what happened. The spiritual master is the transparent medium through which Krishna manifests himself. Of course, unlike in Vrindavan, in the relationship between the disciples and the spiritual master, there's always an element of awe and reverence and duty. But still, duty is meant to lead us to love. And Srila Prabhupada did say to Babaji Maharaj, just see how much they love me. So when I read this verse from the 10th canto, I thought of this incident when the disciples had expressed themselves, we want you to stay. Prabhupada had said, just see how much they love me. All the disciples in the controversy about the parikrama were acting on the basis of their realization of their devotion for Srila Prabhupada. But I believe that what Srila Prabhupada really was doing was drawing out our loving sentiments beyond us just following the order. Following the order is given. We have to follow the order of the spiritual master. To disobey the order of the spiritual master is an offense. So we're not talking about disobeying the order of the spiritual master. We're talking about developing loving feelings for the spiritual master and expressing them to him. And when Prabhupada brought us to that stage, he commented, just see how much they love me. Relating this verse from the 10th canto to what Srila Prabhupada did with us, there's also a parallel between the Damodar Lila and that principle of spontaneous love. Every night during the month of Damodar, we recite the Damodar Astaka, including verse 3. And I read, Iti drikswa lilabir ananda kunde swagosham nimajantam akyapayantam tadiyeshita gyeshu bhaktair jitatvam puna prematastam sattavritti vande. By such pastimes, Lord Krishna is drowning the inhabitants of Gokul in pools of ecstasy and revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that he is conquered only by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, whose belly is bound not with ropes, but with his devotees' pure love, I offer my humble obeisances. The Damodar Lila shows the power of pure spontaneous love to conquer the Lord. The Lord comes under the control of such pure love. In the same way, Srila Prabhupada, not exactly that he came under the control of our love, but I would say that he brought that love out from deep within the recesses of our hearts. And then he reciprocated with us by coming under our control or agreeing to our requests. So this is a very deep pastime of Srila Prabhupada's. And even though Srila Prabhupada has now left us, we still have that choice. We always have that choice. Do we want him to stay with us or not? And I remember at that time, although we had been going along in the mood that whatever Krishna wanted was all right, when we finally understood that what really should have been in our hearts was that we wanted him to stay, we considered maybe we wanted to be the controllers, maybe we wanted to be the enjoyers. And that's why we didn't appeal to Srila Prabhupada to stay. So there's always that question. Do we want the kingdom of God, without God's representative? Or do we want the kingdom of God, with his representative, as their humble servants? And so I pray to Srila Prabhupada that I will always remember this lesson and always pray and act in a way that he will be pleased to stay with each and every one of us individually and all of us collectively and bind us to his lotus feet eternally. So these are some thoughts and reflections on this special occasion of Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day. We have maybe 3 minutes left according to the schedule, so I don't know if we should try to take a question in those 3 minutes or if I should just speak for another 3 minutes.
Madhubal Prabhu.
Maharaj, our schedule is stretchable to hear your nectarian words. So if you have time, we would like to hear more.
All right. Well, I will relate one more incident from Srila Prabhupada's last days. 3 days before he left, I was taking rest on the rooftop of the Gurukul building in Vrindavan. And a devotee woke me up in the middle of the night saying that Srila Prabhupada wanted to see me. And Srila Prabhupada's condition then was so delicate that, we thought any moment could be the last, or any words he spoke could be his last words. So I rushed down into his room. It was dimly lit. And I sat near the head of his bed because it was so hard for him to speak, and his voice was so soft. I wanted to be close to his head so that I could hear him. Srila Prabhupada asked me, "So, Giriraj, do you think this movement will go on after I leave?" I said, "Srila Prabhupada, as long as the devotees are sincere and chant their minimum 16 rounds and follow the 4 regulative principles, it will go on." And then, with great difficulty, in a soft voice, Srila Prabhupada said, organization, intelligence and organization. And then he asked me, is there anything else? Meaning, do I want to say anything else? And inside my heart, I was screaming, Srila Prabhupada, don't leave us. Please stay. But I couldn't articulate it then. So when he said, is there anything else? I said, no, Srila Prabhupada. And I offered my obeisances and left. But then I considered the significance of what Srila Prabhupada said, what I had said, and then what he had said. Of course, we do have to be sincere and chant our 16 rounds and follow the 4 regulative principles in order to become purified and advance in Krishna consciousness. But by the instruction, organization, intelligence and organization, Srila Prabhupada was saying that we need to do more than just become Krishna conscious for our own sakes, but we also have to spread Krishna consciousness for the benefit of others. And to do that in a big way, as Srila Prabhupada wanted, we need organization, intelligence and organization. And it's implicit that we have to cooperate with each other because, being organized and spreading Krishna consciousness intelligently means we have to have a group effort. As it is said, Kalo Sangha Shakti. In Kali Yuga, power comes from association, or you could say working together. And earlier, during these last months in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada had appealed to Tamal Krishna Goswami and the other leaders to keep the institution. And Tamal Krishna goes, and not let it deteriorate, not let it disintegrate. And Tamal Krishna Goswami had replied, Srila Prabhupada, we love you too much to allow that to happen. And Srila Prabhupada responded, your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate together to keep this institution after I leave. So that's, in many circles, that's a very famous and important instruction of Srila Prabhupada's, that your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate to keep this institution together. And so these are our assignments, these are our challenges. And yeah, on this occasion, we rededicate ourselves to Srila Prabhupada's instructions and mission so that we can, please him by our cooperative efforts, intelligent, organized efforts, and be of service to the suffering humanity, as Srila Prabhupada wanted. So, to me, these are the most important lessons from Srila Prabhupada's last days or weeks or months. And, I think I've conveyed what to me was the essence of the lessons that I learned from the experience. And if anyone wants to comment or ask any questions, I'd be happy to stay with you for some time more if you're ready to stay longer.
Yes, Maharaj. I see a question. Taruni Radha Mataji had a question I see in the chat. Go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the nectar, Maharaj. Maharaj, I was hearing this.
Wait, Taruni Radha, is it possible for you to put your camera on?
Yes, Maharaj.
It's more personal, yeah.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for this wonderful nectar. I was listening to this class that you shared yesterday in the with the tobacco group too. It was very beautiful. But my lingering question is, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada asked him to stay, but still Prabhupada like, decided to leave this mortal world, right? So, is there any reasoning for that, Maharaj? And my second question is, what, according to you, pleases Srila Prabhupada the most?
What was the first question?
Like, you were mentioning, I think, in yesterday's class also that it was a bona fide way that Srila Prabhupada chose to leave his body, like his father. He stopped drinking.
Oh, yes.
And then the disciples said, you have to do Prabhupada like that. So Prabhupada said, yes, if you wish so, I will do that. And then he said that Krishna has given me the choice. If I, if I want to be here, Krishna is okay with it. So the disciples said, if you so desire, we want you to stay like that. Then still Prabhupada chose to leave. So is there any, I would like to understand from your perspective.
Oh, well, that was, yes, what you said is true, that Srila Prabhupada had said that that when his father wanted to leave his body, he had stopped drinking. And that was, a bona fide way of leaving one's body when the time came. So earlier, before this this last incident regarding the parikrama, maybe a month earlier, there had been another incident when Srila Prabhupada had stopped drinking. He had said that when his father had wanted to leave his body, he had stopped drinking, and that this was a bona fide way to give up one's body when the time came. So Prabhupada didn't make any announcement or anything, he just stopped drinking. Upendra Das, a very sweet devotee who was serving as Srila Prabhupada's personal assistant, innocently said to him, Prabhupada, you have to drink. If you don't drink, you'll become dehydrated. And Prabhupada said, oh, you want me to drink? Call the GBC. That decision, whether Prabhupada should drink or not, was no small matter. So Abhiram informed the GBC, and all the GBC members and senior devotees came into Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada said, if I want to survive, of course, I'll have to take something. But my survival means so many inconveniences. Therefore, I've decided to die peacefully. Everything is in the hands of Krishna, said Tamal Krishna. And that had been the mood coming from Srila Prabhupada. Everything depends on Krishna. Many times, Prabhupada had said that he would accept whatever Krishna desired. If Krishna allowed him to stay, he would stay. And if Krishna wanted him to go, he would go. Earlier, a disciple had asked him, "You said that your Guru Maharaj left early because he was disgusted. Is that the case with you?" And Srila Prabhupada had replied, "No. If Krishna allows me to stay in your association, I will be most happy to stay with you." But now, Srila Prabhupada opened his eyes. This was when, Upendra very innocently said, "Prabhupada, you have to drink or you'll become dehydrated." And then Prabhupada said, "Oh, you want me to drink? Call the GBC." And then all the GBC men and other senior devotees came into the room. So, so when Tamal Krishna said, whatever Krishna desires, Srila Prabhupada responded differently. He opened his eyes and said, "Krishna wants me to do as I wish. The choice is mine. He has given me full freedom." This was a different mood, a completely different answer. And it gave us a glimpse into the intimate reciprocation between Krishna and Prabhupada. So we all went out into the anteroom and discussed. Kirtanananda Swami's point was most clear and lucid and intelligent. If Krishna has given Prabhupada the choice, and if Prabhupada is giving us the choice, then we should ask Prabhupada to stay. Everyone agreed, yes, we should ask him to stay. So it was decided unanimously. We would go back into Srila Prabhupada's room and tell him that we wanted him to stay. Kirtanananda Swami would be the spokesman. When we went back in the room, Prabhupada was lying quietly on his bed. As soon as we finished offering obeisances, Kirtanananda broke down and started sobbing. He couldn't speak. Brahmananda, sitting behind him, rubbed his back to soothe him. Then Kirtanananda managed, "Srila Prabhupada, if Krishna has given you the choice, then don't go. We need you." Srila Prabhupada asked, "Is this your joint opinion? Have you discussed?" "Yes, we have all met together. We want you to remain and lead this movement and finish the Srimad Bhagavatam." Prabhupada was silent for what seemed like an eternity. Then he yawned and said, "All right," just like that. He agreed to stay in such a nonchalant way. All the devotees were jubilant. Within ourselves, we were rejoicing. Prabhupada is going to stay. Prabhupada is going to stay. He's not going to leave us. He's going to finish Srimad Bhagavatam. He's going to lead the movement. And Prabhupada said, "This is real affection." So these were like two incidents when the devotees expressed themselves, and Srila Prabhupada, in the one case he said to us, "This is real affection." And the other time he said to Kinchana Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj, "Just see how much they love me." So that was that. And then the second question was how to please Srila Prabhupada. Yes. So going back to Calcutta in 1971, Srila Prabhupada was taking his massage on the balcony of the temple. We still have the same building in Calcutta. And I sat down and I said, Srila Prabhupada, I've been thinking, what pleases you the most? And I said, building, let's see, which did I say first? First I said distributing your books and building the big temple in Mayapur. And Srila Prabhupada smiled very broadly and said, yes, you have understood. So in that sense, that's what pleases Srila Prabhupada most. But then again, once he came to the Atlanta temple, which at the time was a big center for book distribution, and many book distributors came from all over to be in the Atlanta temple when Srila Prabhupada came. So one of the devotees asked Srila Prabhupada, what pleases you the most? And they were all expecting Srila Prabhupada to say, if you distribute my books, but he didn't say that. When they asked him, Srila Prabhupada, what would please you the most? He replied, if you love Krishna. So that's also part of our service, to develop love for Krishna. Okay.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Very beautiful.
Thank you. Very beautiful questions.
Anyone else has questions for Maharaj?
I had a question. Except Prabhupada is stressing cooperation, and we see within our movement we have different differences. How do we reconcile those differences and cooperatively carry out the mission of Srila Prabhupada?
Can you give an example of differences? I mean, there's different kinds of differences, different magnitudes of differences.
Yeah, there could be philosophical differences, and then we have like the Ritvik group and this group, and then even among our temple, we will see devotees, while performing their services, there are challenges in cooperation. And I was wondering about some practical tips of how we can keep Srila Prabhupada's instructions in the core of our heart and carry out this mission.
Well, there's a very good verse and purport in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto. Bhaktadas, are you here? Can you get me the 7th canto? I'll read from that because it's perfect. It's very instructive. And I have on occasion gone to temples where I knew they were having a lot of differences, a lot of difficulties cooperating, and spoken on this verse and purport. And it really, had a very purifying and inspiring effect. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5. Prahlad, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. Sayad anuvrata pumsam pashubudir vibidyate anya esha tatanyoham iti beda gatasati. Translation. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with the living entity because of his devotional service. So listen to this, this is very important. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with the living entity because of his devotional service, one becomes a pundit and does not make distinctions between enemies, friends, and himself. Intelligently, he thinks, every one of us is an eternal servant of God, and therefore we are not different from one another. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When Prahlad Maharaj's teachers and demoniac father had asked him how his intelligence had been polluted, Prahlad Maharaj said, as far as I'm concerned, my intelligence has not been polluted. Rather, by the grace of my spiritual master and by the grace of Lord Krishna, I have now learned that no one is my enemy and no one is my friend. We are all actually eternal servants of Krishna. But under the influence of the external energy, we think that we are separately situated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead as friends and enemies of one another. This mistaken idea has now been corrected. Now I am rightly thinking that everyone is an eternal servant of God, and that our duty is to serve the Supreme Master. For then we shall stand on the platform of oneness as servants. The actual fact is that everyone is a servant of the Lord, as confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jiver Swarupai Krishna Nityadas. As servants of the Lord, we are one, and there can be no question of enmity or friendship. If one actually understands that every one of us is a servant of the Lord, where is the question of enemy or friend? And then this last paragraph is just wonderful. Everyone should be friendly for the service of the Lord. I'll repeat it. Everyone should be friendly for the service of the Lord. Everyone should praise another's service to the Lord and not be proud of his own service. This is the way of Vaishnava thinking, Vaikuntha thinking. There may be rivalries and apparent competition between servants in performing service, but in the Vaikuntha planets, the service of another servant is appreciated, not condemned. This is Vaikuntha competition. So Srila Prabhupada has explained the difference between, mundane competition and transcendental competition. In mundane competition, we don't admit the good qualities or the good service of the other person. Whereas in transcendental competition, we do recognize the good qualities and service of the other. But still, we want to do better than them, to give more pleasure to Guru and Krishna. So it's competition, but it's transcendental because there's no envy. Whereas mundane competition can have an element of envy. Someone will praise some other devotee and will say, oh, I know that devotee's not so great as you think. Competition is all right, but it should be transcendental, which means recognizing the good qualities and good service of the others, not denying it. This is Vaikuntha competition. There is no question of enmity between servants. Everyone should be allowed to render service to the Lord to the best of his ability, and everyone should appreciate the service of others. Such are the activities of Vaikuntha. Since everyone is a servant, everyone is on the same platform and is allowed to serve the Lord according to his ability. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya chaham hridisani vishto matas mrityagyanam apohanam cha. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart, giving dictation according to the attitude of the servant. When a devotee very sincerely wants to render service to the Lord dictates. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 10:10, Tesham satatayuktanam vajitam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Everyone is actually a servant, not an enemy or friend. And everyone is working under different dictations from the Lord, who directs each living entity according to his mentality. So yeah, we should learn to appreciate each other's service. And if there are differences, well, someone has to make a decision. I remember one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada about how to deal with these differences. And, Srila Prabhupada said that, ultimately you have to follow the authority. And he gave the example that you're riding in a car with someone else who's driving, and you think that you know a better way to reach the destination than the driver knows. So you're free to express yourself to the driver that I think it will be better if we go this way. But ultimately, because the other person is in the driver's seat, you have to go with however he decides to go. And then the devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, well, does that mean that, that the driver's way was right? Do we have to think that the driver's way was right? And Srila Prabhupada said, no. You can still maintain within yourself the idea that your way was better. But still, because he's in the driver's seat, you have to go along with the way he decides to go. So that's cooperation. That's cooperation. It's very, very important.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to you, Maharaj. All glories to Prabhupada.
Thank you.
We hope to see you on 29th, as discussed before. 29th Sunday evening, you are giving us your
Okay.
time and association katha.
Let me see if it's in my calendar.
Sure, Maharaj.
20. There it is.
29th Sunday.
Wisconsin Central, New Jersey.
Thank you.
5 p.m. my time, 8 p.m. your time.
Yes, Maharaj.
It's
Last
in my
day.
calendar. It's
Yeah.
in my calendar. We're good to go.
Yes, Krishna made it happen.
Nice.
We're very fortunate, Maharaj.
Thank you. So if we're going to end now, then I suggest we conclude with Vaishnava Pranam.
Yes, Maharaj.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. who are just like desire trees, who can fulfill the desires of everyone and are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned soul. Vanchakalpa Trubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Tanam Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrindi.
Soginas Giriraj Swami Maharaj ki.
Jai. Hari bol. Hari bol.
Hari bol.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much. Pranam.
Our good fortune, Maharaj, to have your introduction and your Vani.
Quick announcement, maybe after a few minutes. For this Sunday, I think this Sunday morning we have His Holiness Ramapal Swami Maharaj giving class 8 to 9. The evening is Great Jagat Sakshi Prabhu is giving class for this week. Please stay tuned for the detail flyer. And then go past to me this Sunday. Yeah, thank you. All goes to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
My pleasure. My pleasure.